HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This segment of the news is brought to you by BTC, powered by Lime.
Welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Charisma Robinson. It's always great to have you join us. Topping the news tonight, a multi-agency team comprising various government departments moving aggressively to rid the city of shantytowns. Already, that committee has made considerable progress in various communities. More than 80% of the people who occupied a community on Joe Farrington Road have already moved out and buildings are vacant. Similar efforts are being made in Seabreeze Lane and the Kamaica Road Shantytown District. Assistant Director at the Department of Environmental Health Services, Leonard Miller, tells ZNS News that the initiatives continue this weekend and changes are evident in those communities.
All the refuse, all the debris and things that were around, it's no longer there. You know, it's no longer there. It's just that the property is there and a few pieces are just one more building that will be taken down, and that will be done this weekend. But the place is clear now. You can walk around. You can walk around freely. And the Joe Farrington over there, well, there's still debris on the vacant buildings, but the vacant buildings will be taken down. They will be taken down probably in the next 2 weeks. They'll be out of there. They already been marked. If you were to go in the area, you'll see the buildings have numbers on them, indicating that they are empty, and they will be taken down. In the Seabreeze Lane area, if you go in the area, you'll see where the buildings are taken down. On the weekend, we're going to put a large dumpster in there for them to put everything in, and we'll just pull everything out.
Now, regarding illegal actions in these shanty towns, Mr. Miller says so far the team is not seeing any such measures on the part of residents.
We are on the committee, representative from the BEC, Bahamas Electricity Corporation, and according to their investigation, they haven't found any illegal connection, particularly in the in the Joe Farrington Road areas. Some of those other areas, they haven't. What they have seen, what they came across were where persons had applied for connections to do farm work and so forth. Mm-hmm. Okay, but they haven't come across any like illegal. But now there were persons using private generators and doing extra connections. But according to their investigation, they were not from BEC. There was a person who had their own private generators and providing electricity to these shanty towns.
Mr. Miller, however, could not put a timeline on how soon shanty towns will be cleared, but he says consistent efforts are needed. Well, the garbage collection process throughout New Providence said to be moving rather smoothly. The Department of Environmental Health Services recently contracted out the entire system to private companies and is now utilizing about 7 local agencies. Assistant Director Leonard Miller says despite recent complaints, garbage collection has improved and those private collectors are now more familiar with the routes. Newly constructed government buildings are under the microscope of the government after structural and health concerns have been raised. Minister of Works Philip Davis telling reporters that it's something the government is working on addressing. Our Janelle Noel Ferguson tells us more.
Haste often makes waste.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works, the Honorable Philip Davis, says this was the case with many government buildings constructed under the former administration. A number of those facilities are under scrutiny by the Christie government because of structural challenges after being occupied in some cases for just over 1 year. The Nassau Street complex, built by Aldor Construction Company for $6.5 million, is just one of those public sites now under review.
Concerns have been expressed as to how the layout was for the users of the magistrates court, where prisoners would be, prisoners' access to the courts, where magistrates are, and we are addressing them, see how and if we can make the adjustments.
The Public Works Minister added that the new government complex in Grand Bahama is also experiencing serious deficiencies, which have reportedly caused health problems for several employees. The contract for that building was awarded to FES Construction for some $19 million.
Yes, I understand there are some design issues with that, and that too is being looked into by the technocrats, and I just await their full report on it.
FES Construction also built the new airport in Marsh Harbor, Abaco. Government officials have said that that facility cannot be occupied for failure to meet fire and safety codes. The contract was priced at $23.7 million. Now, the new government building on John F. Kennedy Drive, also a concern for officials. Repairs to that building estimated at $14 million, but shoddy electrical work was reportedly the cause for delay. The government is compiling a report of all new public facilities in need of repair, but would there be sufficient funds to rectify the problem?
It may very well be that the cost of these corrections would be within our own capabilities, and we may not need to have to go and borrow funds.
Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
This coming in from Long Island, an employee of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation was injured and airlifted to the capital following an early morning fire at BEC's power station on that island. That employee reportedly suffered minor injuries and is now hospitalized in the capital in stable condition. Meantime, BEC says the cause of that blaze is still being investigated. The fire, according to the corporation, started on one of its generator units around 4:05 this morning and was extinguished around 4:30. Now, the fire, BEC noted, caused significant damage to that particular engine. Additionally, it was suspected that there may have been damage to a second unit. Supply was restored to most communities in Long Island by 7 a.m. with full restoration by 9 o'clock. While it has not been fully implemented as yet due to technical issues, police say they have been seeing the benefits of the government's CCTV program. CCTV cameras have been posted in many areas across New Providence, providing a concept of virtual policing. Assistant Commissioner of Police Leon Bethel talked about the effectiveness of the program.
We have prevented crimes by the use of a CCTV, which is a concept of virtual policing. You can see all around, and you direct the officers where they need to go, where people are, where there's a threat, where we suspect that a crime could happen. So with this 12 hours, we have the ability to do all of that, and you will see crime continue to go down, because once we get the additional resources that we need, officers will be in every crease and corner, and then once someone decides to commit an offense, as soon as you step right in front of me or one of the other officers on the street.
Now, there is no clear date for when those technical issues will be resolved or when the program will be ready to go. National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nodges said recently that CCTV providers had encountered a huge problem with the quality of images. Police need your help locating a man responsible for a stabbing incident that occurred last night. According to reports, around 9:30 p.m., the victim was at an Allen Drive when he got into an altercation with a man known to him. He was subsequently stabbed to the back. The suspect then left the area in a white Nissan Altima. The victim was taken to hospital where he is detained in stable condition. Investigations are ongoing. Adding international routes to its schedule is one way a local airline is trying to deal with tax increases and new fee hikes at the Lynden Pendant International Airport. Just earlier this week, Western Air began new direct flights between Nassau and Havana, Cuba. Western Air is just one of the local carriers expressing some concern over the new fees, which they call excessive, that will come with the modernized facilities at LPIA. Here's Western Air's Director of Operations, Captain Wolf Seifert.
That's why Western Air has making the choice and to look at international routes. Obviously, it's much easier on the national routes to recover those fees increases. But our major concern is we believe this is just the beginning of the fee increases, and I think NAT already indicated to us that every 6 months they will be reviewing it, and it is anticipated that every 6 months the fees will be going up with the cost of living.
With rental rates set to reportedly increase by 52%, members of the Bahamas Association of Air Transport Operators fear they won't be able to move into the new domestic terminal at LPAA once it opens next week. Additionally, Captain Seaford says it would result in airlines having no choice but to pass these taxes and fees on to passengers in the form of higher ticket prices.
We have to bear in mind that domestic travel in the Bahamas is an essential service. People have to go back and forth to the family islands for businesses in Freeport or Nassau. So from our point of view, there has to be a cap on how the fees can increase, because when the point comes that the airlines have to charge extra to recover the fees, a lot of residents will not be able to afford to travel.
Meantime, President and CEO of the Nassau Airport Development Company, Vernice Watkins, says while NAT acknowledges the financial challenges domestic airlines face, negotiations with the operators are ongoing in hopes of finding a solution that meets the needs of individual airlines. Still to come in the Bahamas tonight, tracing our history while setting the pace for a new stream of economic growth for the country.